All right, Shalom Akim, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Zakaria Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, coming with another lesson through the Spirit. Lord willing, this be edifying to the Lord's elect. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who teach well. Shalom to the Akim out there that's pushing the truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's soon to come. Shalom to the Akwath that's listening in, that's remaining true to the faith, remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands, and guiding their children. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes that scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, to you Israelite foreigners out there who live among the heathen and who look like those heathen nations, but your lineage goes back to the progenitors of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel through the line of your fathers. I want to say peace and blessings to you all, Barakatham. All right. So pretty much in this lesson, we're going to go into the foolishness of Esau. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much the fact that there's no more wisdom left in amongst these Edomites, man, is baffling, to say the least. You see what I'm saying? And this could only be by the Lord's might. This could only be by the Lord's might and His power. Right? So I have a number of videos that I want to share with you, and just break down some of the things that's said in these clips. Right? So let's get this started here in the book of the book of Proverbs, chapter 26. Okay. Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 24 says, "He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart." All right, when he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, man. You know what I'm saying? These jokers, they are not for righteousness, man. Okay? When they speak, you can tell that they are lying because their mouths are moving. You see? That's all they do. The scriptures say that the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Okay, and that's Esau Edom to the letter. Okay, all this time, all right. This devil went on stage and he told you, all right, that he's the president of peace. You know what I'm saying? And he'll be the president of peace. He'll never bring you into another war. You know what I'm saying? All those wars were terrible wars. They were stupid and this and that. And here we are. Here we are. You know what I'm saying? This thing is spiraling so far out of control. Okay? These devils have no control of what's happening. All right? Everything is backfiring. Everything is blowing up in their face. You see what I'm saying? So, we've had all this bravado, display of muscle, last month. Was it? Yeah, last month, yeah. Late last month when they was about to strike, you know what I'm saying? They sent their military vessels, you know what I'm saying? All types of stuff, man. Fighter jets, all right, ammunitions, all types of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And they struck Iran. And it's been, roughly 5 days now, so it hasn't even been a full week. Hasn't even been a full week. All right, and you're just hearing the narrative constantly shift. All right. And as I've been listening, excuse me, as I've been listening uh to Scott Ritter, you know what I'm saying, Colonel Douglas McGregor, all right, so many different military analysts, you know what I'm saying, different journalists, all right. This thing is most certainly no longer under their control. All right. They are losing this war and they refuse to admit that. Okay. They're refusing to admit that. Um, that a radar system worth $1 billion at the very least was destroyed. Okay. Casualties after casualties after casualties, and they refuse to tell you the death toll. They refuse to tell the American people the death toll, man. You know what I'm saying? It's at the very least 600 plus casualties. All right, at least 600 plus. Some are saying this. Some are saying it's close to 1,000. You know what I'm saying? All of these bases around the region in West Asia have been leveled, completely leveled. Okay, they're losing allies. Their allies are getting hit around the region. You know what I'm saying? These Americans are stranded over there. It's just terrible, man. It's just a complete mess. And these generals beg Trump not to jump in there. You see what I'm saying? And there's no way out of it. You done stepped in the quicksand. All right, you jumped in the quicksand and there's nothing to help you pull yourself out of it. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna listen to this video, all right, with Senator Senator Blumenthal, okay, and he just came out of a Pentagon briefing here, and he shows his concern because with so much that's being lost over there, you know what I'm saying, there's no clear goal, there's no clear objective, you know what I'm saying? They got objectives. They have objectives, you know what I'm saying? One objective after another objective, but there's no clear cut goal, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like their goal just it just changes course every 5 hours, you know? But without further ado, let's listen to this.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground and that troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have, but I also am no more clear on what the priorities are going to be of the administration going forward, whether it is destroying the nuclear capacity of Iran or simply the missiles or regime change or stopping terrorist activities. And I think the administration owes it to the American people to have briefings not just for members of Congress but for the American public. Nothing here should have been classified. It should be available to the American people.
Do they describe it? Marco Rubio said yesterday, and he's trying to clean it up, that it was Israel that was about to attack Iran, which prompted the United States to act, prevent any sort of reciprocation from Iran. Was that the way they described it in here?
I will give you my impression, which is that there is still no evidence, none, of an imminent threat that would justify an attack on Iran. No imminent threat to the United States has been set forth to me, but more important to the American people.
But was it Israel?
So pretty much you had this dude Marco Rubio, you know what I'm saying, Secretary of State, he gets out there and he says pretty much the quiet part out loud. You know what I'm saying? That this is not a war that actually, that actually protects Americans or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? This is all simply Israel's war. This is their war. Okay? And your sons and your daughters are about to be sent thousands of miles over there to fight it. You see? This is to think that it's come to this point, you know what I'm saying? And all of this is prophecy, man. All of it's prophecy. You see what I'm saying? The fact that that they continue to remain classified on this very basic information, means that they simply don't want the backlash that's inevitably coming with this. You see what I'm saying? They don't want the backlash, and they know that the people are going to come against them. They're going to come against them because nobody wanted this war. Nobody, no one on the left, and no one on the right. You see what I'm saying? Nobody wants this war except for a small amount of people who either benefit from this war or don't, or simply can't have the conversation around the facts. You know what I'm saying? And they'll just blindly follow this guy. You see, because if it was anyone else, all right, these maggers would have been jumped on the ball. You know what I'm saying? You'd have had a whole January 6th type of scenario going. You know what I'm saying? If it was anyone else, it had to be Trump. It had to be this guy. You see what I'm saying? It had to be him because that's the only way you could have got away with it. The only way. You see what I'm saying? Because the very people who normally would be willing to wreck some shit. Hey man, if you put their Messiah in front of them and have him do the very things that they would not accept from anyone else, they'll accept this because it's him. Okay? All these things are unacceptable. Disrespecting the Constitution. Defying court orders. You see what I'm saying? Completely bypassing Congress. All types of things it just gets worse and just gets worse. All right? And now they're sending boots on the ground, man. Okay? Because they know that if there's ever going to be any regime change that's going to happen, there has to be boots on the ground, man. It's got to be boots on the ground. Now it's reports coming out that they're arming the Kurds to try and rise up a civil war in the country of Iran. Okay? So this is not gonna end well, man. All right, it's going to continue on and continue to escalate. I don't see this thing dying down, but at the same time, we know that according to prophecy, that MOTB has to be mandated. All right, it has to be brought to the forefront. You see what I'm saying? So either the Lord slows this down somehow, or there's going to be a major situation that's going to give them the opportunity to push that chip. You see? Something is going to happen. All right? So I want to share with you one interview, the interview with Colonel Douglas Macgregor. All right? Let's check this out. All right? So let's listen to Colonel Douglas Macgregor, all right, having a conversation here with Colonel Daniel Davis, all right.
protests that had to be put down, et cetera. And so there's definitely some constituencies within Iran that that wanted to get rid of the Ayatollah. What are the pros and cons, or maybe that's not the right word? What is the prospect that these could result?
Hitting in. Those are stationary. Those were aimed there for a long period of time.
Is this something live, Gary?
Countries. So I think it was
Indeed,
right
yes.
that. We attacked first.
All right, so yeah, let's see what the president said here. Anything, then we'll get back to where we were talking a second ago.
Decimating them. They're being decimated. And if we didn't, and by the way, we have massive amounts of ammunition. We have the high end. A lot of it was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot. As you know, when I give away ammunition, everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high end, but we have plenty. But we have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war. And we have really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high end stored in different countries throughout the world. We're literally storing it there, which is actually something that I insisted on in my first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great. Unbelievable amount of ammunition, or munitions, as they say, we're giving away to. The Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it just should have been done. Look, it's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, that war would have never happened. But we have a tremendous amount of munitions, ammunition at the upper level, middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that, because he's addressing. There's two things that we were going to talk about. One of them we'll get to in a minute, but the second one, I'm glad he brought that up, and great timing on that, Gary. Is that there's this claim that, hey, we got to hurry up. We only have a couple of weeks. And I think you even mentioned you thought we had maybe a couple of weeks from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, that if we started this, we'd only have a couple of weeks at high intensity with these offensive, especially interceptor missiles, and we would have to get a resolution or we'd be in trouble. That's been reported in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post. Several people have been talking about that. Apparently, General Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, also warned about some of the risk that we go into. But now then here, President Trump today, and again live today, says, yeah, you know what? Don't worry about that. I got plenty of ammunition. In fact, some categories are unlimited. What do you make of
that? And this right here shows the level of desperation, because, as a matter of fact, Pete Hegseth, all right, Pete Hegseth, the so-called Secretary of War, all right, all he really is, if we're just going to be honest with it, you know what I'm saying, all he really is just a cheerleader, all right, that's all he is, real talk, you know what I'm saying. He doesn't have any true experience, you know what I'm saying, in terms of leading. And here it is, he leads the world's greatest superpower, you know what I'm saying, if you will, right? So this is a disastrous moment, you know what I'm saying. And so now that it's becoming clear, more and more clear that that they are exhausting all of their all their ammunitions. All right, all their munitions capabilities. They're exhausting their interceptor missiles. They're exhausting their offensive missiles. You see what I'm saying? They're exhausting all these things, and they can't just go and replenish them willy-nilly, you know what I'm saying? Because many of these, like their bases, like I mentioned, their bases are being leveled, you know what I'm saying? Their allies in a region, okay, are being struck. And they can't simply go to any port and just restock. You see what I'm saying? They just can't do it. All right. So in some instances, like they're pretty much trapped. All right. They're pretty much trapped within this rock and a hard place. Right. Let's listen to the colonel here.
Always keep in mind that President Trump, whatever else he may claim to be, is a marketing genius. He's someone who rose to prominence and became a billionaire because he's very good at marketing himself and whatever the product is that he's selling. And that's what he's doing in the Oval Office right now. Everyone I've talked to has said exactly what you just repeated. There is no evidence for the limitless supply of high-end missiles that he's talking about. But he can say it, and he will say it, because he's trying to sell a war. He's trying to convince everyone that we are winning and that we are going to win, although he's never really defined very clearly what that means. What we're implying from his remarks is that a win means the elimination of the Iranian government and its replacement with a puppet that Israel and the United States are comfortable with. I don't see much evidence that that's going to happen. And I don't see any evidence that his aspiration is going to be fulfilled.
Right. And it hasn't been fulfilled because in terms of regime change, well, then all the Ayatollah's son, I believe it's his eldest son, all right, not the one that was killed, but his eldest son has now assumed, the position as the Ayatollah. You know what I'm saying? So that whole regime change type of thing, that failed. You know what I'm saying? Yet Donald Trump would get on the camera and he'll say, "Oh yeah, we're winning," and then he'll have Pete Hegseth get on the in front of the cameras and say, "Yeah, we're winning." You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the generals are pissed off. You know what I'm saying? The high-ranking officers are pissed off, okay, at all these casualties that's happening. You know what I'm saying? Allies are being struck. All these defense systems are being focused on Israel, and we can clearly see how well that's doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a big mess. It's a big mess. Not to mention that there's also mutinies that's taking place. There's there's a lack of morale, all types of shit, man. This is not going well. And now they're talking about bringing boots on the ground. Well, if you're going to bring boots on the ground, that means that you're going to see casualties spike like crazy. All right. There's going to be a draft. There will be a draft. Right. And this is prophecy. Let's get this in the book of 2nd Esdras. All right, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 16 and verse 30 and verse 33. It says, "The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine." You see? So this is it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be mass casualties, man. You know what I'm saying? Mass casualties. And you're bringing in a bunch of Gen X or Gen Zers, you know what I'm saying? You're bringing in a bunch of new generation cats that have never seen war, that are not battle hardened, you know what I'm saying, that don't have a sense of patriotism, if you will. All right. It's just, this is going to be a disaster, man. It's going to be a disaster. Let's take you to another video. All right. Another interview that Mr. Davis had. Check it out.
They're not using just basic critical thinking skills. I mean, let's draw upon not just our own experience, but let's draw on the experience of the Russians. So, and the question is can air power defeat an enemy that is entrenched in a particular area? And the answer is no. We've seen it. It's failed in Gaza. It's failed in Ukraine. It failed in Afghanistan. It failed in Iraq, where we tried it, and it's going to fail here in Iran. And we think we can quote, do a war of attrition. I know that the intel estimates, they believe that Iran is running out of missiles. I think Iran is, you're seeing a change in strategy because on February 28th, when the attack first started last Saturday, what happened was that they had pre-planned, said, okay, if we're attacked in the capital, each of you military districts, you're on your own. You figure out what to fire. You figure out what targets to go after, etc. So everybody, you had all these different units operating independently. Now I think they're coming back. They're starting to get some central command and control back in place. And then as you're showing these missiles that are being fired out of the ground, these aren't mobile launchers. And where the hell how the hell do we bomb them and be able to destroy those? We can't.
You look at that, man. All right. These, like he said, all right, like Mr. Johnson said, these missiles are coming out of ground. They're coming out of the ground. So there's nothing that there's no, there's no seeable silos that you can attack. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing clear, like if you're looking at an aerial view, it's nothing but simple terrain. Okay? There's nothing but simple terrain, and it's just vast space. Okay? And it's like, what is it? It's just a bunch of desert land. Well, in actual fact, what these are, they're missile cities, as they say. Missile cities. Okay? And as the former CIA analyst is going to explain, these cities of theirs, they go on for miles. They go on for miles. So you can imagine just how many missiles that they can store in all of these underground facilities. Okay? Because this is why they say that going into Iran is a fool's errand. You know what I'm saying? It's no way to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because Iran is 4 times larger than Iraq. You know what I'm saying? 4 times larger. And this whole strategy that they've cooked up for Iran, you know what I'm saying? They've been cooking it up for the past 8 months. All right, since they last struck Iran. Okay? Meanwhile, Iran has been preparing for this encounter, all right, for years. For years. You see what I'm saying? For decades now. All right? This is why they're so far ahead. This is why they're so well entrenched. Because they've been preparing for this. They knew that this day was going to come eventually. Okay? So let's take it back.
These missiles that are being fired. Now I think they're coming back. They're starting to get some central command and control back in place. And then as you're...
And keep in mind, Iran is the only country that is able to do this. Iran is the only country that has done this, to be able to have their missiles underneath the surface and just pop out of the floor like that.
Showing these missiles that are being fired out of the ground. These aren't mobile launchers. And where the hell how the hell do we bomb them and be able to destroy those? We can't. I don't care how many
To
beaches.
me, that was I'd never seen that until we found that video, I guess yesterday, or maybe this morning, where there's not even, you can't even see a hole.
Yeah.
There's no sign at all. And how many of these, I mean, do you have any sense, how many of these things do you project that there are in Iran?
I would project at least 10,000.
Oh, snap. I wasn't expecting that high of a number either. That's going to be a real problem.
Yeah. No, it's when you look at the video of these the Gary's showing right now. Okay, these are underground missile cities. Just start counting. These go on for miles, not a few hundred yards, miles. Why? Because they started dealing with this during the Iran-Iraq War, or the U.S. sponsored Iraq War, and then with the continued threats of the United States over the years, going back to when it really intensified in 2005, Iran's taken steps to not only have a place to store missiles and launchers, but also manufacturing capability. So it's beyond the capability of most. Of 99.9% of U.S. munitions. There might be some bunker busters that we could potentially destroy, part of a tunnel. But again, these stretch for miles. These are not in just one isolated area.
Right. So this is Jeremiah chapter 51. Let's start at the top. It reads, "Thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And against him that lifted himself up in his brigadine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host." It's going to be bad out here, man. You see what I'm saying? Bad out here. So, your boy Nero Trump, all right? He done got America in some shit. You know what I'm saying? He done got America in some shit. All right, and it's about to get real bad. But if you tell him, you know what I'm saying? If you tell Trump, or if you tell Pete Hegseth, like these generals were telling him, you know what I'm saying? Like all of his top commanders was telling him, what did Trump do? He just ignored it. He ignored it. He say la 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 la. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is. All right. This is Psalms chapter 58, verse 3. It says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear." You see what I'm saying? And these devils will stop their ear, man, because they want war. Continually are they gathered together for war. Well, this is the point to where even their own top military officials are saying, please don't do it, please don't do it, and he does it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Does it anyway. What was it, General Kane? General Kane had and peep the name, by the way, but General Kane had basically distanced himself from this whole operation, man, because he didn't want anything to do with it.
Larry, I want to for all of the braggadocio and all the chest beating that Secretary Hegseth did in front of the cameras and does a lot that Trump is saying. After a briefing yesterday to the Gang of Eight, at least the Democratic senators came off there with a little bit different view here. I want to show you one who is one of the more responsible Democrats, so he's not one that's just looking to harm the Republican Party. And that's Senator Van Hollen. because he said that he saw this war of choice in the United States by President Trump didn't seem to have an attainable objective.
Right? Even today in the Oval Office, the president was spinning all sorts of rationales. On the one hand, they say it's to go after Iran's nuclear program. We know Iran has no nuclear weapons capability. After all, the president told the country that it had been decimated last year. So then they say, well, we're going to go after Iran's ballistic missiles. Well, Iran has no ballistic missiles that can get anywhere close to the United States. Zero. And of course, then Donald Trump said he was going to liberate the people of Iran. But if you look at public reporting about the CIA's assessment, it says that they concluded that if you get rid of the Iranian leadership, you're very likely to get a much more, even more radical group in their place.
And Larry, that's the part I really wanted to ask you about there.
And that's exactly what happened. All right, that's exactly what happened, because Ali Khamenei, his son, is now in that position of leadership. Okay, and he's more hardline than his father. And then you couple that with the fact that his father is dead and he's mourning him. He's mourning his father and his brother and his family. You see what I'm saying? And those young children, those young girls that was bombed, and all the rest of the casualties that, you know what I'm saying? This is a problem. You know what I'm saying? This is a problem for Babylon the Great. You see what I'm saying? So, this is an interesting thing to see. It's an interesting thing to watch, man, because there is no more wisdom in Teman, as is written in Jeremiah chapter 49. All right, there is no wisdom in Teman. But let me end this off with the book of Job, chapter 12 and verse 16, and I'm gonna read this also in the NLT. But let's start with the KJV. It says, "With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. He leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fools." All right? In the NLT, it reads, "Yes, strength and wisdom are his. Deceivers and the deceived are both in his power. He leads counselors away, stripped of good judgment. Wise judges become fools." You see what I'm saying? And there is no good judgment in any of this. All right? No good judgment. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. Because these Persians, you know what I'm saying, they're bringing out the newer stuff now. All right? They done overwhelmed all of the West defensive systems. What they've done to Israel, all types of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? In terms of their defenses going downward. All right? Check this out. All right? So check out Iran's Fatah 2 hypersonic missiles, man. You know what I'm saying? Watch this, because now that they've taken down pretty much these defense systems, you know what I'm saying? They took down the radar system, all right, again, worth $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Now that they've proven to the world that this whole Iron Dome is not impenetrable, you know what I'm saying? By simply using, you know what I'm saying, inexpensive missiles. Okay? Watch this. This is the new stuff. This is the big stuff that they're using now. You see that? Let's watch it again. So yeah, the deceived and the deceiver are his. You know what I'm saying? And this is there's no win. All right, there is no winning here. You see what I'm saying? You put boots on the ground, it's just gonna be a bloodbath. You know what I'm saying? So it's we're gonna keep our eyes peeled on this thing, man. But prepare to see something crazy happen, all right, in the near future, because remember that MOTB has to be brought forth, man. It has to be brought forth before this war in West Asia reaches its conclusion. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna cut that there, man. I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. This has been your brother Zakaria Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. In closing, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory. Oh, Slaki, let me show you something real quick. Because also, another omen that we just had, right? Yeah, I got a little bit more time. An omen that we just had with this blood moon. Let me show you this real quick. All right. So with this blood moon that just happened, was a Tuesday morning. All right, Tuesday morning, we was able to see that. Well, I wasn't able to see it, unfortunately, but it was able to be seen. You know what I'm saying, in different parts of the world. All right. Like I said, I wish I could have seen it, but it was raining. It was raining yesterday morning, so that's unfortunate. But as you can see, it says a blood red moon rises perfectly above the Great Pyramid, a sight straight out of a legend. Okay, and this is one of those signs that we was to look for. You see what I'm saying? Here's another image of what happened yesterday morning. All right, straight above the Statue of Liberty. Okay, and if you remember, a couple months back over in Brazil, the Statue of Liberty, a replica of the Statue of Liberty had fallen. Okay, so these are those omens that we were told to look for. Okay, so I'm gonna get this real quick, and then I'll end it off. Luke chapter 21, verse 25. It says, "And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars." All right, in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Okay, so there's signs in the sun, moon, and stars. There was a 4.3 magnitude earthquake that happened in Iran. You know what I'm saying? This is the omen. You know, Babylon is going down, man. Babylon the Great, which is spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. America is spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. All right. So all of this is a sign. Verse 28, "And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh." Okay. Call hello Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Wachak. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who teach well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.